Hi everyone, my name's CJ and this is my channel. Welcome, this is my first video, and for this video I wanted to go ahead and celebrate the fact that I am 6 months on testosterone. I take testosterone gel prescribed by Planned Parenthood. I actually have a bottle right here of what I've been prescribed. I'll put in some pictures of what it looks like when I apply it. And I've already been through 3 of these. So today what I'm going to talk to you about is how I got prescribed testosterone, what the process was like, why I decided to go on testosterone, what it's like using the gel, why I decided to go low dose, the changes that I've had, the changes I haven't had, and what my goals are. So first let's talk about why I decided to go on testosterone. I identify as transmasculine, and when I first was thinking about going on testosterone, I kind of wasn't sure whether or not I wanted to, but I decided ultimately that it would make me feel more comfortable in my body. I did a lot of research online and looked at pictures of people who had transitioned, and I liked a lot of the changes that they saw. I also did a lot of research comparing the results of people who are on low dose testosterone versus people who are on a full dose of testosterone, and I decided that I wanted to go on a low dose of testosterone because I wanted to take the changes slower. I knew that it might be a little bit shocking to me if I started out on a full dose of testosterone and then in 3 or 6 months I already had full facial hair and I looked and talked like a man. I just wanted to be able to take it at my own pace and work with my doctor to decide what changes I was liking, what I wasn't liking, and make sure that throughout the process that it was something that I actually wanted to keep doing. So next, let's talk about how I got prescribed testosterone. So I got prescribed testosterone through Planned Parenthood. The reason that I decided to go through Planned Parenthood is because they offer open access to hormone therapy. They do offer hormone therapy both for people who are transmasculine and for people who are transfeminine, which I really like, that it's open to everybody. You don't have to be binary trans in order to be prescribed it. Like certain endocrinologists, they may not allow you to take testosterone unless you identify fully as a trans male. It was important to me to have the open access. So when I went through Planned Parenthood, what I did is I just emailed the person who I guess is the liaison that works with the medical practitioners and creates the appointments, and they were very helpful. They sent me some information to know what to expect, what kind of information I needed to bring in. One of the things that I really liked is that because I was having this appointment during the time of COVID-19, they were offering the appointments through telehealth only, which means that my entire visit with the nurse practitioner was going to be online. They made sure that I would have a chunk of about 3 or 4 hours to be able to talk to the nurse practitioner in private, and they said make sure that I don't have anybody present at the location that could overhear my personal medical information. So I just did my appointment at home. My partner was there. My partner and I share everything with each other, and he knew that I was going to be going on testosterone anyway, so it wasn't a big deal for him to be there. When I emailed with the liaison to set up my appointment, they sent me a lot of information about testosterone. I will note that if I was going to be doing any kind of injections, they did offer for me to meet with someone to learn how to do that. I knew from the beginning that I wanted to go on gel because I wanted to do low dose. I knew that I would be able to keep up with it if I did it every day and made it part of my routine, rather than having to set myself some sort of an alarm on my phone or just, mark it on my calendar or find another way to remind myself to do it weekly. And I know that it's not very good if you miss your shot, or if you take your shot early or late, it can kind of mess with your hormones. So I really wanted something that I could do every day, and then if I did happen to miss a day, it wouldn't be a big deal. They kind of made all of the risks clear at the beginning, just letting me know what kind of things that I could watch out for or expect. Although I personally did not have to have any kind of blood test before being prescribed testosterone because I had recently had blood work done. They were able to get kind of some general idea about my health. They said that as long as I was otherwise healthy, there was really no need to do the blood work at the beginning because they assumed that I had normal female hormones. They did say that they would want me to go ahead and get some follow-up blood work done at a later date, and I do have a doctor's order for that I need to get done. So when I had my appointment with my nurse practitioner on telehealth, it took about 3 hours. The first hour or so was spent talking about my family health risks, things that I might be personally susceptible to going on testosterone, especially traits that run in the male members of my family. They also talked to me about my sexual partners and sexual history. my family planning, whether or not I wanted children in the future, what my options would be on testosterone. They also wanted to talk to me about why I wanted to go on testosterone, asking about my history as a child, what kind of things led to me figuring out that I wanted to go on testosterone, why I thought that testosterone gel would be a good option for me, all of those things. They also talked to me about the risks from these papers. We just kind of went down the list and talked about each one. If there was anything that I had questions about, they let me ask any questions that I had. Some of the questions that I had related more to being on testosterone gel versus the shot, and also being on a low dose versus the shot. There's some people who say the testosterone gel does not work for them, and they say that they really didn't get any of the major changes that people want when they go on testosterone until they got a shot. The person who I talked to, my nurse practitioner at Planned Parenthood, said that generally testosterone gel does work the same for all people, and it works the same as the shots do. The only major difference is that obviously it may not work as well if somebody takes a shower like shortly after they take it, or maybe they're putting on their clothes before it fully is able to dry and be soaked into the skin. Also, if you haven't exfoliated, I guess it could have issues absorbing. But they said that those kind of things are more rare, and that for most people it works the same. Obviously, with going on low-dose hormone therapy, some of the changes that happen with testosterone happen slower, which is something that I personally wanted, because I wanted to make sure that I was okay with all the changes that were happening to my body. I didn't want to take testosterone and then a year in be completely bald or anything like that. And so we just kind of talked about how the information may be different for me being on a low dose versus being on a higher dose of testosterone. So really, I would say, based on the list of things, the changes that have happened, I would say it pretty much happened the same as it would if I had gone on a full dose, except maybe the timing of everything is the same, but maybe the amount of the effect that it's had has been less. For me, within the first week or maybe first couple of days of having been on testosterone, I did notice some clitoral growth, and I also noticed some mood change. Testosterone at first made me a little bit more irritable. I did have some mood swings. I just noticed some people have said that when they go on testosterone that they're not able to cry as easily, and I found that that is not true for me. The only main change that I found with my mood is that usually I'm a very patient and calm person, but I noticed that being on testosterone, at least the first several weeks, I did notice that I was a lot more irritable. I was just able to kind of talk about it with my partner and kind of come up with some coping strategies and figure out what the things that were bothering the most were and kind of avoid those things. And that's just something that you could work through with your therapist or talk about with your doctor when you're going on testosterone to see if that's something that's concerning to you. So those were the two major changes that I had. A couple of weeks in, I noticed that my body hair was growing in thicker and darker. I previously really had not very visible arm hair, and now my arm hairs are more dark. Also, I got a lot of muscular pain in my back. I don't know for sure that it was muscle pain, but it felt like muscle pain. I felt like my back was really sore and itchy, extremely itchy. And at first I thought that I may be allergic to the testosterone gel. So I followed up with my nurse practitioner at Planned Parenthood, and I asked her if that was normal. She said that it is, and what it turns out that it was is just new follicles of hair growing. So really, probably by month 5, I was able to see the hair coming in. Now I have very light blonde back hair and also some hair on my stomach. I did stop my period within the first 3 months of taking testosterone, and for the past 3 or 4 months I have not had my period. That doesn't prevent pregnancy at all. It just means that you're stopping your period because you have higher testosterone than estrogen in your body. I pursued other birth control methods that I'll talk about in a future video. The other main change was my voice. So before taking testosterone, I had a very high-pitched voice, and actually having my voice be lowered was one of the main changes that I was looking for on testosterone. And I know that not everybody's voice gets deeper, but I was really hoping that mine would, just because that was something that was giving me a lot of dysphoria, was having a very high-pitched voice. My voice has gotten a lot deeper on testosterone, and especially in the last couple weeks, now that I'm 6 months on it, I have noticed that the changes are a lot more prominent. But I did notice my voice deepening probably 3 months in, and it's just continued to get deeper. And working with my voice is something that comes a little bit more naturally to me, just because singing is something that I like to do. But I actually really like the changes that I've had, and I've gotten to the point where I can kind of do like a male and female duet with myself, which I really enjoy. Next, I'll talk about what the gel itself is like. So I've already shown you what the pump looks like. What I do is I just take off the cap and I choose to wear a glove, because one of the things about the gel that it did mention in the pamphlet is that if you take testosterone gel, you should avoid skin-to-skin contact with other people. The reason for this is because obviously if you have a partner who, you know, is on estrogen, or estrogen is their dominant hormone, if you are cuddling with them or otherwise touching them and you get skin-to-skin contact, that can be dangerous for them because they can experience some of the masculinizing effects too. Obviously, they're probably not going to get the full dose, but it is something that you want to be conscious of, because you don't want to accidentally be causing someone to transition without their consent. It's really not a big deal for me. So when I started out doing testosterone, I was doing it kind of like up on my shoulders, but I found I didn't really like that as much. So the first thing that I usually do before I take my testosterone is I shower. So when I'm in the shower, I pay special attention to the place that I'm going to be applying my testosterone, and I make sure to exfoliate that area really well. Next, I go ahead and apply the testosterone when I get out of the shower. I make sure everywhere is dry, especially the area I'm going to be applying, and I take out a glove. I just choose to use a glove personally because I don't always feel like having to wash my hands again after, you know, just getting out of the shower. So I put on my glove, started out on 1 pump of T-gel, which is a low dose, but I increased my dose to 2 pumps because I just feel better that way. I feel like I've been getting more changes quicker. I really like the changes that I've had on testosterone, so I take 2 pumps. So I just squirt this. This is an empty one, but I just squirt it twice into the glove, and then I apply it. And when I first started testosterone, I was applying the gel to my shoulders, but I decided I didn't like it as much, especially in the summertime. It tended to kind of run down my arms a little bit, like before it would dry. So now what I do is I just rub it into my stomach, my lower stomach. I just make sure that I rub it in. It really only takes a couple of seconds, especially wearing the glove. It's not getting absorbed into my hand. So I just use my gloved hand to rub it around my stomach and wait for it to dry. I don't rub it in until it dries. I just make sure that it's covering enough surface area that it'll dry quickly. Something that I found is that if you put on the gel too thick, it takes a really long time to absorb and it may get a little bit gummy. And if you don't shower beforehand or you don't exfoliate the area and your skin maybe is a little bit dirty, it tends to pill up a little bit, which means it's not fully absorbing. So I always make sure I'm showered first, and I always make sure that I apply it in an even, thin layer, and it tends to dry up within really probably 10 seconds or so. By the time that the rest of my body is dry and I've gone through my routine and I'm ready to put on my clothes, it's usually dry. I've already talked about, for myself, why low dose. I wasn't sure whether I wanted to go all in with the testosterone or if I wanted to take it slow. I chose to go low dose because I didn't want all of the changes of testosterone right away. I don't fully identify as a trans male, I just am trans masculine. For me, that means that my identity is close to male, but not exactly male. I don't know. It's something that I've just been kind of mulling over for a really long time. I may never know fully what my gender identity is, and that's okay. The label's not as important to me as just kind of the process is. I started out wanting to do just 1 pump. That was great, and I noticed the changes, and I was getting a lot of euphoria from the changes. Some of the first changes I had was just kind of the increased strength. You know, obviously I had the side effect of the mood swings and stuff, but I was a lot stronger. I was feeling good. Like when I wasn't irritated, I was feeling really good with everything that was happening. I have noticed that my face has changed a little bit. My fat distribution has changed a little bit. And all of those things have been really positive. And obviously, you know, my voice is a lot lower. I'll try to put in a clip of what it used to sound like here.
Oh, I didn't grab the one that I had in the car.
Overall, I've been really happy with the changes, so I personally increased my dose, but I'm still doing the low dose. And one of the main reasons for that is because I have not had top surgery yet. I'm living in an area that's a little bit more conservative, And just for my own safety, my job, and my personal life, I decided I didn't really want to go all in with the changes on testosterone until I knew I would be able to get top surgery. So my top surgery is scheduled for 2 months from now. I will be 8 months on testosterone when I get my top surgery. I'm really excited about it. I'll make another video about what the top surgery process has been like for me, and I'm hoping to do kind of a longer video about my top surgery, just kind of talking to you about my history with the changes to my body that happened during my first puberty and why top surgery is something that I wanted to do. I'm kind of hoping that once I have top surgery, I'll feel more comfortable with a lot of the changes that I'm having on testosterone. Not that I'm uncomfortable with them now, because I have such a large chest. I didn't want to appear extremely visibly male and change right away without having had top surgery first. So what are my goals now that I've been on low dose testosterone for 6 months? What other changes do I want? My plans are to continue to take testosterone gel. I really like doing the gel. The only thing that's been complicated with the gel is that it does require pre-authorization from my insurance company, which means that there's been certain times when I've needed to get my prescription refilled, and it's taken a little while. It really hasn't been that much of a setback, and since I am doing low dose, it's not really a big deal to skip a couple of days. But I do like having access to it. I've really enjoyed the changes that have come with testosterone. As I said, in 2 months I'm going to have top surgery, and then I'm really hoping that, you know, I'll see an increase in changes, or that I'll be able to kind of further masculinize without having such a large chest. So for me personally, the changes that I hope to see continuing on testosterone for a while will be getting a deeper, more masculine voice, having some more like changes in my face. I'm hoping I'll be able to grow facial hair. I'm not totally sure whether that's in the cards for me just based on my genetics, but I'm just hoping that overall my face will continue to masculinize. I'm hoping that, especially with my chest gone, that I'll have a little bit more of a male body shape. And I'm just hoping to continue to get stronger and more masculine, I guess. That's it for my 6 months on testosterone journey. Overall, I'm very happy with my journey. I'm extremely happy getting my testosterone through Planned Parenthood. I love Planned Parenthood. So if you have any questions about testosterone therapy in general, going on low dose, if you have questions about how to talk to your nurse practitioner about it, or how to figure out if testosterone is right for you, go ahead and put it in the comments or send me a message. Please like and subscribe. Please feel free to share this video with your friends. I hope to make a lot more videos, but thank you for watching.